Okay, this is our project for today. We're going to make a scrappy crazy Minky blanket, only this time it's going to be all Christmas prints or things that are Christmassy. I'm making this for my sister and her boyfriend Rick Mamana, and you know both of them. Kathy Adderson, Rick Mamana, they do great cooking shows and they're starting a new channel this year. So look forward to that. Check them out. But anyway, this is gonna help them decorate their house for Christmas. So grab all your Christmas prints and a 2-yard piece of Minky, or however big you want to make it, and we'll get started. Okay, to make the Christmas Minky crazy quilt blanket, we're going to use this sculpted Minky. And I have a little problem here because there was a lot of static in the dryer and all these little strings stuck. So I just wanted to show you that this Minky has like a zigzag type of pattern, a high and a low. And I love the dark color green, so that's going to be great for a Christmas blanket. Right now, I'm probably going to let most of that fuzzy on there and pick it off when I get done. But if it gets too bad, we can just go over it with some packing tape. Now, I'm allergic to latex, so I can't use just any packing tape. And 3M has helped me by saying that their Scotch storage tape, the long-lasting one, is latex-free. This is an acrylic glue, so we can touch that. Don't ever use masking tape if you are allergic to latex, because that's basically paper soaked in rubber. And 3M also has a blue painter's tape that is an acrylic adhesive. It's not latex, but the things like the dollar store, we really don't know those, and we have trouble finding out because of them being made in China, so we can't really find out like their MSDS sheets and things like that. So if you really seriously want to avoid latex, use this 3M packing tape to take off your fuzz. The other thing that you got to remember is that those roll-on lint rollers that you use on your clothing, those are like masking tape. They are rubber. So never touch your clothing or touch it yourself as far as the lint rollers. Those are deadly to me and to people with latex allergies. Okay, so we want to be safe because we want to make lots more blankets. We don't want to have any anaphylaxis and kick off the mortal coil. Now, what I'm doing for the Christmas blanket is I found a panel that has a snowman and a sled. Now, what it is really is a panel for a door decoration. So there's directions on here how to make it into the door decoration, and then there's a few 3D pieces to add to it. So we're going to take a look at those, but in the meantime, I'm just going to trim off a lot of this stuff so it doesn't get into the Minky quilt. Alright. So we're just going to go around it. And then all around the edges of it, we're going to put, other pieces of fabric. I'll show you those in a second. Just want to go around here and get this kind of trimmed down. Now here is a piece of a carrot nose. Now that's funny, but we could actually use that little piece of orange in there and you'll never know it was for the nose. Okay, and then there's also 2 little pictures of the snowman, so we can use those in there too. That'll kind of round it out, give it some balance. That'll be kind of fun. It was nice of them to put those in there to show us how it was put together. So I'm just going to trim those real quick. Just going to hack it off. I'm going to leave some edging around it so we can, have some leeway with where we're going with our crazy quilt pieces. Alright, and then we're almost around. Okay, so if you've seen my Minky demonstrations before, you know that I mostly do it at the machine. But when there's a really big piece, I kind of want to pin it down right while we have the table, because I don't want to get any wrinkles in the back. And I'm not going for the center because I'll never be able to center anything. And it kind of looks better when it's off kilter, because then it just looks more kind of scrappy and okay. Looks better when it's scrappy. So I'm going to lay this on here and put lots of pins in. And I'm going to pin it like pretty deep and hard here, like put the pins in all the way so that you don't have them coming out in your lap or on your floor and get them in your feet. And then as we go, we'll get rid of the pins and it will be safer to handle, because right now when you have pins in it, you kind of can rake your hands over them and get them in your fingers. That doesn't feel too good, but it's really important to try to get the book back smooth, because it will, if you have a wrinkle in it, it's going to be there forever. And we don't want to have that. We want it to look scrappy, but we don't want it to look sloppy. How's that? Organized scrappiness. Okay. And I will put a couple into the middle, just because when I get to the machine, sometimes another pin might fall out, and we don't want to have a wrinkle because we lost a pin. Just go down the middle here and then out to the sides. Just smooth it. Don't stretch it, just smooth it. Okay. And I'll take my first piece that I'm going to put on here. And I'll pin it down, and then we'll show you at the machine how we start to assemble the quilt. So we don't put any batting in there, and we rip off any selvages. Selvages I save for my inkle loom weaving, because I can use them as packing, so they're never wasted. And sometimes I even put them in to the rag rugs that we make. So, so I'm just going to cut off a piece of that. Candy canes, that's pretty cool. Alright. Okay, now over here we'll make sure we don't have anything underneath. I'm going to pin on my candy canes. And so the first thing we'll do when we get to the machine is sew down about between 1/4 and 1/2 inch, whichever you want. There's no rolls, no quilt police. And after we stitch it, we'll open it up, smooth it out, and then apply another piece and another piece, and do that all the way around. Okay, so I'm going to get this ready to take downstairs to the sewing machine. I moved my machine this week to make things easier. I'm not sure I did, but when you don't work in a very big place, you have to work around your environment. And so today we'll be going down to the sewing machine downstairs. I just wanted to show you the other pieces of material that we're going to put in the Christmas quilt, or the Christmas Minky Crazy Blanket. Some of these I found on eBay. It's a good way to get a variety if you want just little pieces. Some we found on fabric.com. And this one is a cool holly and berry with like swirlies and little glitter. This is a truck. The red truck seems to be the thing on everything for Christmas this year. This is a rare piece of material. It's Sled's. So my sister will like that. And then I have some stars and hearts. A couple more stars. And then I found this in my stash box. This was a Christmas print from a long time ago. I don't even have the selvage on that one anymore to tell you what it is, but it was from a Santa kind of theme. And we have doves. And then I had these two pieces that were tree skirts or mantle hangings, and I decided I didn't really need to do that or make that. And they have like some nice birds on, so I might cut wedges of this apart and work them into this Christmas quilt. It's got poinsettias and stuff like that, and I have two of those. And then I got a little bit of music. Okay, so we'll be going down to work on some of the sewing. I'll share that with you, and then I'll show you my whole process. Thank you. Okay, now before we get started sewing, I just wanted to share some really nice features of this sewing machine that I have. It's called the Memory Craft 6300. It's by Janome New Home, and it's the professional model. Now, there's so many really cool things about this. It's not like, I mean, you can do a lot of different stitches. Here's the stitch pattern, okay, and the codes that you put in. And it has a little flip chart that helps you if you forget how to wind bobbins and stuff. And you can fold that down and get it out of the way. But what I was wanting to show you about this, especially today, is there's a way to wind a bobbin and sew at the same time. So you have a place where two cones or two spools of thread can go. And this would normally be the one that does the bobbin, but I'm going to just make myself a bunch of dark green bobbins ahead of time so I don't have any anything holding me up and so I don't run out of thread. But I just wanted to show you how to wind one bobbin on here, because it's like really neat. It's got a whole separate motor here, and then you can, you know, wind a bobbin and still sew at the same time. Most machines you have to stop, wind the bobbins, or wind them on a bobbin winder, and then you can sew. But this one is really cool. So I just want to show you that you thread everything the way it tells you to, and then you put the thread in the bobbin, then you push this little thing in and press the bobbin, and it winds the bobbin. I usually wait till it comes off there. So I could actually be sewing while this is going on. It'll fill itself automatically and it'll pop back out. And you know, this is a really good feature because I've had machines where the bobbins stopped winding. Even when I had bobbin winders that were on top of the machine, they were still controlled by the same motor. And when that bobbin stops winding, you have to get it fixed and everything, and it wears out like twice as fast, really. So I just thought this was a really nice feature, and the machine is really, really great. I love this thing. It's very strong, and it goes through a lot of thicknesses, especially with quilt stuff. It comes with a whole bunch of feet, and you can do machine quilting right on here too. You can put feed dogs down underneath this clear thing. There's a way to put the feed dogs down and do free motion quilting. It's very, very strong, and there's 3 different speeds, so you can go slow, medium, or fast. And even no matter how hard you put on the pedal, it's only going to go so fast. So that's really good when you need to have really good speed control. So I just thought I'd show you this because it's a really good machine. Okay, so now we have the Minky back down on the machine, the fuzzy side down. Okay, so that's going to show on the outside. We've got the smooth side up, and we have our snowman on there, and we also have this piece that we pinned on. So we're going to sew that first. We're going to go down here between 1/4 and 1/2 inch, but whatever you decide on the size, it can be different for each piece because you're going to open it up and it's going to not affect the size of the quilt, because you're gonna just keep covering this piece of Minky. Now, the only thing that's absolutely important is that this is not stretched and that it's not wrinkled, because you can't get the wrinkle out unless you cut it, and then it will have a hole. And it's very hard to rip anything out of Minky, so just try to get everything placed exactly where you want it to be. Okay, so I'm going to take out the pin here. I'm going to feel for pins underneath because I don't want to run over any pins. And I'm just going to go ahead and stitch this candy cane material to the snowman. Whoop. Now, one of the things that I could give you a little tip about the thickness and stuff of the materials, they don't really need to have a real fine stitch length, so we can change the stitch length over here, and I usually do. I go up to about 2.6 or 2.8, and that gives me still a good strong hold on the fabric, but it doesn't take us long, and it doesn't make the stitches so close, and sometimes that can actually pucker it, so just take a little bit of a larger stitch. Okay, I'm going to get those pins out of there, and also right down to here. Okay, and this machine also has a feature where it cuts the thread, and what it does is it sends both threads down below the fabric and then cuts them off at 1/4 of an inch. So you may have to go, depending on the length of your Minky, you may have to go trimming those little pieces off at the end. When you're making clothes, it doesn't really matter so much, but on the Minky back it will matter. You'll have all kinds of little strings sticking up. Okay, so now we're gonna just smooth this away. We don't iron Minky, okay? And I'm just going to smooth it away from the stitching line because we don't want that buckled or puckered up. And then I'm going to put some pins in out here. Because we're going to add another piece of material there. But see, we want this like little buckle, these bubbles and stuff, to be completely out of there because they will show up and you can't fix it if you don't rip it out right away. And like I said, if you rip it, it often makes a hole in the Minky because it's a polyester acrylic kind of fabric, and it doesn't like go, it doesn't fray, but it will make a hole. It's almost like chewy. I don't know why I keep describing it like that, but it's like, to cut it, it's kind of like a little bit hard. Okay, so now I've got, one of the things that I try to do too with this is light and dark. You know, like when you're setting up any quilt patch, you need contrast. So if I had two dark fabrics together here, like if I took this, it wouldn't be a sin or anything. But it will look better if we have something light for a while. So I'll put some of these nice little trucks down this way. And for the first couple times, I do pin it because this is kind of a big piece. If I was doing a smaller piece, I probably wouldn't. But I really just want to make sure I don't get any gathers in that Minky. Now I could come down longer, but because I will probably try to make it with more straighter lines than usual, I will just stop it there, and then the next time we'll put a piece here where we open up both of these. Alrighty, so let's sew this one down. gonna just make sure that we caught everything. Alright, and I'm gonna smooth away from the seam first. And then keep pushing it. And then pin it out here when we're sure that we feel nothing that's wrinkled under there. I know it probably sounds like I'm saying it too much, but you know, as many times as I've done this, just recently I had a bubble in it, and I'm like, ugh, and I just can't take it out. So it's going to be a little bit of a wrinkle, and luckily it's my quilt, so it's my problem. I got to deal with it. But I'm glad it didn't happen on someone's that I was making for someone else. I have some good intentions to put some of these for sale on my websites, but every time I get them made, somebody else wants it, so I still haven't been able to make one to sell. Eventually I will, but everybody in my family likes them, and they're warm and practical, and you can wash them over and over and over. And that's what we have to do when we have allergies, dust mite allergies and stuff. So now see where there's this little bit of fuzz on the green? While I'm here, I'm just going to pick a little bit of it off. And by the time I get done, if I do that now and then, it'll be in better shape than it was when I started out. It's just the lint really picked up on this. It was like a magnet in the dryer. So I had a dryer sheet in there and everything, and it's still got sticky. Alright, so here I'm going to go back to the snowman, okay? And I'm going to just put something here. Now, I could take that nice dark green piece that I had, and my seam comes here. So I want to really actually come over that. I want to ride over it till about here. And one of the ways of kind of like finishing it as you go, because you don't want to ever have any raw edges sticking out. I'll show you that little trick. Okay, so I have the edge of the material right where the stitches end, so I'm going to be going in, taking a bite in here. But in order to, like, when this opens up, to not have the raw edges here, I fold it up however much you want, 1/2 inch. I just do whatever I think won't fray and wash out, you know, so I want this to be stable. So I put a pin there with that folded, and that way when I flip it open, the edge will be finished. Okay, now we're gonna check for pins. There's one. You don't want to sew the pin into it because you will have to cut it out if you get it trapped in a couple layers. Okay, you just sort of learn as you go with this. It's just a process. And I think up here I will leave that edge raw, because I'll probably put another piece of material over top of it up here. Okay, so I'm going to sew this one down with you, and then I'm going to let you go find your own fabrics and get them together, and come back and meet me here. And when I get done with covering the whole Minky back, or actually the wrong side of the Minky, I'll show you how to do the binding. Alrighty, so we're just going to sew that one down, make sure everything's flat, no bumps. Nice motorcycle going by outside. Wasn't the machine. Okay. And just take your time doing this. Enjoy putting all the pieces together. I usually listen to some books on Kindle, like on the Audible books, or some music, and it just goes well, and you just relax and enjoy this process. Okay, so I'm going to open that up. Push everything away, and see, like, it covers those raw, raggedy edges that I had around the snowman. And looks nice and finished. So I'm gonna just keep pushing and smoothing, not stretching, because if you stretch it, you'll get the same problem. And then this raw edge up here at the top we'll have to cover. We're going to work around the snowman that way, and then just fill in the whole top. You can use old quilt patches, odd quilt patches that you made and just didn't need to finish a quilt with, or decided you weren't going to make a quilt out of them. You can just incorporate them right into here, and it really gets to be kind of fascinating, because you see a lot of hard work that was just laying in a box, and now it's beautiful and it's mixed into a crazy quilt. And I think that's a really neat part of quilting. Okay, so here's a little part I'll show you before I sign off for a little bit. Alright, so let me spin it around. You have to catch these right away. Right, so now where we turned that edge under here, we need to stitch it down to at least to where it comes to the edge of this. Otherwise you'll have a hole here. So you can just get your machine hooked up there, nice and smooth. The same principles every time you're going to sew, is get the lumps out. Okay, now sew very close to the edge, but don't miss the edge. And remember that you had a 1/2 inch here, so you could actually come in, but if you catch closer to the edge, this will not wear as much when it gets washed. Okay, so we're going to sew that edge down. And I think I'm going to leave this loose because I might have to tuck something in. I'm not sure how I'm going to work that out. Okay, so anyway, here we go. Now we've sewn it fast, and we've got already a nice scrappy look starting to happen. Okay, so we've got a nice scrappy look happening there. And we're just going to keep working piece by piece, one at a time, over the whole quilt top. So I'll come back when we're going to put the binding on. Okay, we've finished binding the Minky blanket. In this case, I used 1-inch wide double fold black cotton bias binding that I got from Home Sew. Got a roll of it. It will last me a little while, and I'll be able to do a bunch of blankets besides this one. And the black on the edge really sets it off. It makes it almost like a stained glass window. So I think I'm glad I did that to this one. A lot of times, you know that I take little pieces and put them together until I get a big long string to make my binding, but I think the black really makes this one pop a little bit. This one even has some pretty music, and we've got, along with the panel of this snowman, this little guy was printed on the side to show for directions, I guess, and I cut it out and worked him in, so now he's coordinated. And these cardinals were on like a tree skirt that I wasn't going to make. So we worked them in. There's male and female cardinals here. There's the boy. There's the girl. And there's a bunch of them worked in. Candy canes, holly. There's even some doves. And of course, you can't forget the sleds. Okay, so there's more sleds on the sled quilt. Okay, so anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you come back to see the next adventure we'll be taking. And thanks for watching, and have a razzle-dazzle day.